Hi guys and welcome to another Let's Image tutorial. My name is Philip and you can find me on Twitter at Let's Image. Today I'm going to show you how to play around a little bit with curves and color balance and lighting and clone stamps. So there are a lot of things and yeah, I suggest we're going to start right now and let's jump into it. So let's do that. So first I'm going to show you what I want to do by creating a new layer down here. Yeah, here we are. And choosing a color which is nice and bright, something like, I don't know, red or something. Here it is. So, brush, make it a bit smaller. Now, the sky is not too bad, I guess. So we have a really nice sunset here. We have a little bit too much blue for my taste. So I would like to have the whole thing really red, really fiery, orangey, yellowy, whatever. So I want to set the whole sky on fire. That's the first thing. The second thing, we have to obviously get rid of that kind of thing, whatever it is. It's a kind of lens flare, a really ugly one. Then we have these brown areas in the grass here. I don't like that too much, so I'm going to change that one to a proper green, like a nice and juicy green, if grass can be juicy. You get the idea. And I want to give the foreground something to look at, because if we make the sky red, and then we have the complementary color in the ground, which is green, then we could have some red down here again, just to give the eye something to look at. So I'm going to choose these flowers, basically. Let me zoom in that you can see that. So all these little flower parts, bits and pieces here, I'm going to make those red. So yeah, that you have red on the ground and in the sky and some nice green in between. Then we're going to use some lighting to make sure that this shadow here, which is actually quite dominant, is yeah, more obvious if you want. And for that we're going to use the lighting adjustment and sort of just creating or strengthen the light source we have, which is the sun here, so that the whole thing just becomes more strong. So let's do that. So I'm going to delete that layer. So the first thing I want to do, I want to concentrate solely on the sky. So as I said, there is a bit too much blue in the sky, so we're going to change that. So first of all, I'm going to increase my contrast by clicking on the brightness and contrast adjustment here. And maybe before I even change that, I should copy my original layer and render the bottom one basically invisible, just in case I mess up, so at least I have something to go back to, which is not too bad. So let's increase the contrast to something like that. So the blue becomes a bit more obvious. That's no problem whatsoever. The next step we can do is we go to curves, and instead of RGB, we're just going to work with the reds for now. So we're going to increase our reds to something, maybe even a bit more. Okay, and we're going to decrease our blues, and then we have already a nice and yellow sunset. Cool, I like that. Once we have done that, we can go to Hue and Saturation. And again, instead of using the master, we can go to yellows now, because the majority of our sky will or is yellow already. And just to see what areas we are actually affecting, I'm just going to increase saturation and hue. So everything which goes mental now, you can see that's what we will change if we do any adjustment in the hue saturation adjustment panel. Cool. So I want to affect obviously this corner here as well. So what you can do, you can move this little thing, however you call that, around slider, I guess. And just make sure you're actually affecting all the areas you want to affect. I don't really care about the ground in the moment. Even if we mess that up, that's not a problem for us. So I have to move the whole thing a little bit over and over and over and over. No, then we're losing things. We don't want that. Well, let's just do it like that. I mean, if we have little holes like this, we can just use the clone stamp tool or the healing brush or something to get rid of that. So once we have selected the areas we want, I'm just going to go back to normal with saturation and hue and put the whole thing a bit towards the purple/magenta style. Yeah, I guess that's not bad. Cool, let's close that and get another, no, not this one. We don't want this one, delete that. Get another curve. And again, go to blue and take some blues out. Very nice. And get some red in. Yeah, it's good. And if you wanted to, you could even go to saturation and increase the saturation until you're very, very happy. So something like that, yeah. Yeah, I like that. So the whole thing is crazy on fire. That's perfect. And now we have applied this thing to the whole image, which is actually not exactly what we intend. So what we can do, we select our top adjustment, and we hold Shift and click our bottom adjustment, not exactly there on the text. And then you just press Command and G to group the whole thing together, which means actually you can switch it on and off as well. So you see before and after. And you can create a layer mask by clicking this little symbol down here. And press B for your brush. increase your brush size, and I'm going to hit Command and I, and now I can, wherever I brush, I will make the effect we have just created visible. So I want to have the effect in the sky. Our mask is black now, so I have to paint with white to make anything visible on a black mask. If I would paint with black on black, nothing would happen, so I have to paint with white on black, opposing stuff, and yeah, I will make things visible. So I'm always choosing an opacity for this kind of stuff of about 40%, 50%, just to see how I like it, and if I don't like it, I can always increase it or decrease it to my liking. So I'm just going to start to brush that stuff in. It's not bad. That's a proper sunset. Cool. Good. Just make sure that the areas between the trees are reddish as well. You see this thing on the left side here, this one? And that happened because before I actually started this video, I have merged the HDR version and the normal version, and I have sort of combined them in a way I wanted to. So this thing here is the result of the automatic layer alignment in Photoshop, but no problem at all. I'm just going to use the clone stamp at the end or whatever I want to use to get rid of that, so no problem. And here we have some banding or some random texturing going on. That's no problem either, because later I'm going to apply a blur to sort of give the illusion of moving clouds, and that'll disappear together with the sort of definition of the clouds anyway. So don't really care. Now, just for here, I have gone a little bit into the clouds. I'm going to make my brush smaller, hit X. So now I'm actually coloring or drawing with black on our layer mask, and whatever is white here is our effect. And if I go and draw with black now on it, I'm going to delete what I have just done before. So I'm just going to do that and clean up these trees a little bit so that they are not too crazily red. There you go. I mean, the original preparation of this image took me several hours, so I guess you get the idea by when I say clean the stuff up a little bit. Cool, I like that. Okay, next thing is the grass. So as I said, the grass is a bit too much to dead. I mean, who likes dead things? I don't like dead things. Do you like that? Well, anyway, so there's this lens flare here. So first thing, we're going to get rid of that. And the way to do that is, first of all, by creating a new layer down here and pressing Command, Alt, Shift, and E. Probably going to use two hands for that, which is copying everything visible onto a new layer. It's kind of a cool thing. Then I'm going to hit, what's that, S? Yes, S for my stamp tool. And what that does is basically I can select an area, like here, and I would like to have this area copied on this area here. So we can get rid of that annoying lens flare. Oops, down here maybe. Just try to get your source from different sides and it looks a bit more natural. Otherwise it might just look obviously copied. That doesn't look so good now. Or something like that. I mean, you get the idea, you can play around with it, but that does a pretty good job. I'm happy with that. So once we have done that, we're going to again go to Hue and Saturation, and going to make sure we're just working on the layer beneath by clicking that little symbol here. Instead of master, we're going to go to, I would rather say yellow. The grass is not really green, so I'm going to go for and try to find what we want to have or what we want to select in the yellows. So as increase saturation and hue, we're actually already in the yellows, which is kind of nice. And something like here should be fine. Again, I don't care about the sky. We can just brush it through wherever we want it. I'm going to go down here, make everything normal again, and now I'm going to push that towards a nice, well, we could kill it as well, but I don't want to kill it. Let's make it green. Yes. A bit less, otherwise it looks very unnatural. I might even change this a little bit so we have more of the browns selected as well. That's not bad. See if we can put that around a bit, something like that. Maybe not too much saturation. Okay, that's not bad. Now, again, I don't want the effect to be applied on the whole image, so I'm hitting Command and I, which is inverting that mask, and now selecting B, I can brush the effect through wherever I wish. Not that big. And I wish it to be on the grass, so I'm going to brush on the grass. God, I love logic things. Cool. Now, it looks a lot more alive. Already, I can see before and after. Once we have done that, and you're happy with it, obviously, that's a big part of it, then let's have a look at the foreground here, which in the moment it's quite boring. There's just some random grass going on. There is no real color other than yellow and a bit of green, which is nice, but not exactly what I intended. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a new layer again. Once more, hitting Command, Alt, Shift, and E. I actually do use two hands for that. Anyway, and what I will do again, once more, I'm going to Hue Saturation. I'll work just on the layer beneath. I will try to find, I guess in this case, it is actually the yellows. And I can zoom in a little bit. Now, what I want is I just want to select bits and pieces of the flowery heads here. So, up with everything and see if we can select just those things. I think something like that. Yeah, maybe. Okay. It's always tricky. You don't want to overdo it, but we can change it anyway later. So once I have selected a couple of these heads, go normal with my opacity. Now it's going to change the whole thing to red. On this case, to magenta. Once we have done that, we have a chance to adjust our affected area. So I just wanted to something like that. That's not bad. Cool. Okay, once we have done that, we can close that. Now, as you see, we have actually not created red, we have created a purplish magenta thing. And there's a simple thing to get around that. Just get your curves. No, before we get our curves, we realize that we have obviously affected everything again. We don't want that. So hit Command and I, which basically inverts our mask, and get your brush and just mask the effect through where you like it. And I like it here in front of this area. And we're going to have more on the right side than we have on the left side, just because the color range we have selected was more present on the right side than it was on the left side. No problemo. So first of all, we're going to make that really red by by going to Curves and make sure we're just working on the layer beneath, and we go to our blues and we take out some of our blues. And if we do that, you'll see that the magenta disappears and we get a really nice red, which is what we wanted initially. Yeah, something like that. I like that. No, I can close that. Okay, now we have the stuff red, and now I would like to have this red dots on the left side as well. So one easy trick to do that is by creating a new layer again, copying everything on, no, not copying everything on the layer, sorry, just going to use your stamp tool by pressing S, making the brush a little bit bigger, make sure that current and below is the sample adjustment or setting if you want, and then you're going to hold Alt, choose a nice area which you would like to have, for example, this nice red here, and just brush on the new layer. And get some of these nice red flower heads onto your new layer. Something like that. Cool. I'm going to hit Command T so that I can transform that. I'm going to flip it over, something like that. Pull it down, increase its size. And now I'm going to play a little bit with the blending modes. And I'm going to try soft light first, because normally it does a pretty good job. No, it doesn't. Never mind. Then we try screen, probably won't do now. That's the other way around. Color, maybe. Color isn't bad. So let's zoom in. So color. And what color does is it's just leaving the colors. So what we can do now, we can first of all press enter, because otherwise we can't do anything else. We go to contrast and increase our contrast. And make sure you're just working on this one layer. Now actually decrease, increase. We decrease it a bit. Okay, once we have done that, I'm gonna hit Command and T again. Oh, no, to select this one. No, I'm gonna drag it over here, something like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit enter, get my curve tool, and just from this single layer and decrease the brightness. Actually increase the brightness a little bit. That does a pretty good job. I like that. Nice. So once we have done that, actually could group all these things together. I'll first zoom out and check if we're happy. Yeah, I like that. So now we have reds on the right and we have some reds on the left. You can do this kind of, you know, using your clone stamp and stamping away if you want, as often as you can, as often as you feel like. And yeah, obviously up to you. So the next thing is, let's blur the clouds a little bit. Actually, before I do anything else, I would like to add some more coolness to the sky. So what I'll do, I will create a new layer by pressing the new layer thing. Actually, I don't think we need necessarily a new layer. Let's don't do that. Let's just create a gradient map. So just go to this little adjustment thing here, select gradient map, click on it, and go to black to white. If you do that, you're going to end up here, and then select this little arrow on top of this white one there, go up here and select red. Okay, once you have done that, it'll look like that. It's going to shift. Nope, that was the wrong one. I want that little dot there. Okay, and shift it all the way, or quite a little bit, towards the right. Hit OK. Looks horrible, doesn't it? So instead of blending mode normal, we're just going to go to soft light. Boom, look what that does. Isn't that awesome? I don't want it that strong, and I don't want it everywhere. So I will invert that layer by hitting Command and I, and I'm going to get my brush. I'm having an opacity from of, let's say, I don't know, 30 whatever %, and just brush it in wherever you like it. It's going to add a really, really nice red. And it reminds me of Independence Day. I don't know why. I mean, the movie. Okay, so that looks great. I love that. It's good. So what we can do now is let's blur the whole thing. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to hit Command Alt Shift and E to copy everything on it. Once this has happened, I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, and Radial Blur. I'm going to go to Zoom instead of Spin. I'm going to hit 13. Yeah, 13 is fine, I guess. And I just press Enter. No, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to reverse that by hitting Command and Z. And I'm going to do the whole thing again. I'm going to go to Blur. I'm going to go to Radial Blur. I forgot to set my sort of midpoint where the blurring goes from, or starts, originates, whatever. Hit OK. It's not that it was massively different, but whatever. And then I'm going to create a layer mask on that layer. I'm going to hit Command and I, make my brush a little bit bigger, and going to brush through where I would like to have this effect. I actually do love that effect. You maybe don't, but I do, and you're not here. So I'm just going to use it and brush it in and brush it in. That looks so beautiful. I can't believe it. Nice. Down here. And you see these kind of weird color patches we had here before. They're going to disappear. That was just because I went a little bit crazy with the colors at the beginning. So normally you can prevent that. But if you're going to blur it anyway, why would you? Okay, that might be a little bit too strong. I'm just going to reduce it, something like that. Gotta love it. Cool. Now, there you go. And just one more thing, which is I'm going to select that layer again, and I'm going to go to Filter, Render, here it is, and Lighting Effects. So my computer's Stone Age, I have to wait a bit. Okay, I'm going to choose the spot lighting effect, and I can drag that around, and you see what it does. It's creating a spot lighting effect, which it can't do on the grass because I have a layer which is just half existing, basically, and it's just here. So I actually don't want it. I'm going to hit Cancel, and what I'll do, I'll just create quickly a new layer and copy everything onto it by pressing Command Alt Shift and E. And now I can do that. So again, Filter, Render, and Lighting Effects. Okay, same thing. So I want the grass to be a little bit brighter, and that's actually what this spot lighting effect does. It's an awesome tool. I suggest you're going to play a bit with it. It's really a lot of fun. So let's say we zoom out. Yeah, okay. Let's turn it a little bit more. Yeah, that is nice. Okay, once you're happy, just press Enter. It's going to apply the whole thing. I'm obviously not happy with the way it looks right now, but I can create a layer mask, hit Command and I to invert it, get my brush. Yeah, I've seen it now 6,000 times. and reduce my opacity, maybe 20, and just gonna brighten up the whole thing down here. Probably in this case, curves would have done the job as well. But you see now it's getting actually brighter where the sun is, whereas curves would have lit up everything, I guess, equally, except if I would just, no, I could have used curves as well. Never mind, now you have seen the lighting effect. Cool. Okay, and that's more or less, or these are more or less the techniques I have used to create that image. Be aware that I didn't take my time to make sure that I don't really brush over the trees, so they're going to have a little bit of red now as well, and a little bit of blur. But normally, if you just press your, get your clone stamp and make it smaller, you can get easily rid of this sort of blurred surrounding of the trees. Not if you have your wrong thing selected. No. But just clone stamping away, clone stamping everything out of that. But that's up to you, obviously. But that's generally how I created that sky. I went a little bit crazy with the colors here. I do agree, but I do love it as well. So why wouldn't I? So cool. So if you have any questions how I created it, or any specific questions towards the methods I have used here, please do not hesitate to leave me a comment below. Okay, so as I said, thank you very much for watching that tutorial. If you did enjoy it, please do not hesitate to follow me on Twitter at letsimage. If you have used this kind of technique or a different technique to set your sky on fire, then please leave me a link to your images in the comments below. I'd love to see what you're doing with it. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.